sorry about him, dog.
I want to be so upset and I can't because I'm more worried about getting arrested and putting away for murder that I didn't commit. And never in my life would I kill someone that I love that much.
Love you, bro. It sucks you gotta deal with all this pain.
I'm trusting you guys, like, with my life, because, I mean, this is 70 years in jail if I get convicted of something I didn't do.
Why can't you just give him a gun?
It just needs to be gone. For whatever reason, it just needs to be gone. You guys don't have to come with me if you don't want to.
I mean, I got your back, man.
If it's in the Tennessee River, they will never find it.
So Emma ended up having a pretty big crush on Riley, but at the time Riley was dating somebody else. However, it wasn't long until he broke up with that other girl to date Emma. They hit it off right away, especially because they were kind of like that. You know, he's the football star, she's the cheerleader, you know, kind of the perfect story. So the perfect couple didn't last too long. They started breaking up on and off all the time. Emma's friends started expressing concern about the fact that he started becoming very possessive of her. Eventually he started sending pretty aggressive messages to her via Snapchat. One of them in particular said, "You're dead to me. I'll check the obituary. You." And he would also threaten that he was gonna kill himself if she did not get back together with him. But after dating on and off for 2 years, Riley ended up graduating high school and he attended Maryville College. But Emma and him decided that they were going to continue dating even after he left for school. But then things started taking a turn for the worse. It was right before Thanksgiving break in 2016, and Emma ended up seeing Snapchats of Riley with other girls on campus, and this really made her upset. So this time Emma decided to break up with Riley for good. But Riley, however, did not handle the breakup well at all. Right after they broke up, he decided to commit suicide by drinking a bunch of and taking a bunch of pills. Luckily, he did not pass away from this. So then November 18th came along. It was a Friday night and Emma's high school had won a big football game. And one of her friends was having a little after party at her house. So she was at the party when all of a sudden she started receiving these super sketchy texts around 11:30 p.m. Now these text messages were threatening her, saying, "I've got someone you love, I'm going to harm them, come outside if you don't want to see them get hurt." Shortly after, she got another text that said, "He's in a ditch beside her house. It's a shame you can all of a sudden not value someone else's life." So this is when Emma and her friend decided that they were gonna go outside and just check it out. When they went outside, they saw a man face down on the ground near the bushes near the end of the driveway of this girl's house where the party was being held. And it was Riley. So Riley started waking up and acting super confused, having no idea how he ended up there. He said someone had kidnapped him and he had no idea where he was or how he ended up there. And they said that he was just holding his head like someone hit him or knocked him out or something. After he got up, he called one of his friends to pick him up, and he told his friend that someone had knocked him out, put him in a car, and taken him to this house. And even his own friend didn't believe him. So that night, Emma got ready for bed like normal. Her dad said goodnight to her like normal, and she went to sleep. But then during the middle of the night, her dad heard a really loud banging noise. So he ran out of bed and ran to check on Emma and her brother. When he opened Emma's bedroom door, he saw her in her bed. Nothing seemed out of normal. She just looked like she was laying there asleep. Everything seemed normal in their house, so he just went back to bed. But the next morning around 6 a.m., her parents were getting up, getting ready, and they went into, well, her mom went into Emma's room to wake her up. She tried bumping her leg, she called her name several times, and Emma would not wake up. And instantly her mom knew something was wrong. That's when she looked at her face and she realized that Emma did not have a pulse. So she frantically called 911.
Where's your emergency? What's going on there?
I just had to wake up my daughter for school, and she has no pulse.
How old is
She's 16.
Paramedics got there fast. They first believed that this was some type of suicide or that something happened to her in her sleep, some unknown cause. So detectives showed up at the crime scene and they noticed that there was a hole in the wall. Now this hole was only as wide as like a pen, so that tells you how strong guns are. There were 2 bullets that were shot into the corner that her bed was in. So detectives figured that whoever had shot a gun through the wall of the house clearly knew that that was Emma's bedroom and where exactly her bed was. So detectives started trying to talk to her friends and peers and ask if there was anyone out there who would want to harm Emma, who had anything against her, and guess whose name kept coming up? Riley. So detectives went to Riley's dorm to talk with him. However, at this point, there was nothing that made police really think he was a strong suspect. But then one of Riley's friends told detectives something that Riley had told them the Saturday before Emma was killed. Riley apparently told his friend Alex that he had stolen his grandfather's gun as a way of protecting himself after he was kidnapped. But by that next following Monday morning, Riley was already considered a person of interest in Emma's death. Detectives started asking him about what he was up to the night that Emma was shot in her bed, and he said that he was at his friend Noah's house.
Who else that knows when you get
It
there?
was just me and him, and then I think it was just me and him all night. I don't remember anybody else showing up.
And you said you spent the night?
I'm pretty sure I did, yes. Actually, yes, I'm positive I did. I did spend the night.
You can't remember if you spent the night at Noah's or stayed at your grandparents'?
Another thing that just struck them as very strange was he didn't mention Emma's name at all the entire 2 hours he was being interviewed. He would continuously describe her as the girl.
The girl, she texted me,
Which girl?
the one that passed away.
Okay.
They said during the interview they were very concerned about him because he seemed completely emotionless and very detached. Riley ended up telling them that he kept trying to text Emma that weekend, but she wouldn't reply to him and eventually just blocked him. And he claimed that she had told him that the only way she would see him is if he helped her with her paper.
I was crying, and I was trying to get her to reason with me on being back together with me. And she just kept saying no. She said she didn't care about the relationship anymore. She said, you need to stop, you're crazy, you need to get a life. Hung up the phone, blocked me. Am I a suspect in her passing?
Should you be?
I just feel like I'm being badgered with a question. I hope to God I'm not a suspect in her death.
Did I say you were?
I hope you don't think it, because I wouldn't hurt that girl.
Did you shoot into Emma's house?
No, sir.
He then says he was so upset he left his dorm and drove to his grandparents' house. And he got there around 12:30 a.m. and only stayed for about 45 minutes before coming back to his dorm. So detectives started asking him about his grandparents' guns. They asked like where they were, how he had access to them, if he ever took one or had a gun on him at all. Riley, of course, said no to all these questions and claimed to not have a gun at all. However, detectives had already talked to his friends who claimed that he showed them the handgun at school. When they confronted Riley with this information, he basically denied it still and said that he had no idea why his friends were claiming that he showed them a gun.
Alex McCarty said that you showed him a handgun. Where is the gun?
I do not know.
You understand though, for us, Alex has no reason to lie about something like that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I don't know where it's at.
He said that you showed him the gun, you told him that you had it, and you told him that you got it from your granddad.
Don't have the gun.
So at this point, Riley is looking really sketchy. Riley ended up telling Alex that he got rid of the gun and it went back to his grandparents' house. And then Riley actually asked his friends to no longer speak to the police because in the meantime, he needed to figure out what to do with the gun to get rid of it because he didn't want to be blamed for something he didn't do. But because Noah and Alex were pretty positive that Riley was the one who killed Emma, they decided to secretly work with the police. They decided that they would help him try to get rid of the gun while secretly working with the police because they knew that that was the one bit of evidence that they would need. So the next day, Noah and Alex go over to Riley's house to play video games and chill and just like hang out. Little does Riley know, his friends are actually wearing mics and they have a camera and a key fob that was given to them by the police. So while they're hanging out, eventually the conversation comes up about Emma and Riley starts denying that he had any involvement again. So they all hopped in the car together and the first stop was to his stepdad's house where he got the gun. He hopped back in the car and the three of them went to go grab some fast food and the gun was just chilling in the car in a trash bag. Meanwhile, while this was all happening, there were multiple undercover police cars following them. Noah and Alex were also texting the police officers in a group chat, letting them know what was going on and what they were doing. They finally got to a parking lot where they were close enough to the river. This is where they decided to get out and bring the gun down to the river. And this is when Riley puts on gloves and very carefully starts taking out the gun. So Alex and Noah text the police and tell them it's a good time to come on over to the car.
Everybody put your hands out of the vehicle now!
Noah and Alex do this immediately because they know this was going to happen, and Riley cooperated and they immediately arrested him and took him into custody. Riley was then convicted of first-degree murder as well as 6 other felonies. While police were going through that trash bag that the gun was in, they also found a bunch of black clothing of Riley's from probably that night. He totally faked his own kidnapping. He was desperate in love with this girl and she wasn't interested in him, and so he finally just snapped. So let's fast forward to May of 2018 to his trial. Surprisingly, Riley's defense team decided to say that this was not a murder, it was a reckless homicide. They basically said that he was hoping that the gun would scare her and she would call him and he could come like to her defense. However, the prosecution said that this was total because of where the bullets actually were shot in at. Whoever shot this gun knew exactly where to shoot them to kill her. This was not to get her attention. There was over 30 witnesses at the trial and it took over a week to get through everything. And then on May 8th of 2018, Riley was charged with first-degree murder and was sentenced to over 50 years in prison before he will get a chance for parole.